So, hi, I'm John. I'm Tuxudo on Slack and pretty much everything else. I'm also well known for causing Aryan a lot of headache and problems and things with MunkiReport because I am that one person who has done 10,000 changes and a lot of PR polls and just a whole bunch of random things that kind of just has caused him problems over the time. I'm basically responsible for making over half the 77 modules for MunkiReport. They range from my very first module, which is the GSX module, all the way up to my latest module, which is the kernel panic module. All right, my first module was made in late 2015. It was a very ugly module, very clunky, wasn't pretty, has never been published, and it basically took information from a plist and presented it in a web view. Literally all it did. And it was around this time that Apple killed the scraping of their warranty page to figure out what a Mac's warranty is. And that left the GSX API as the only way to do that in mass. Of course, most people don't have GSX, but I had at the time, and so I was like, I think I can do that. Well, after waiting for someone else to create it, I figured I might as well just do it myself. It was way in over my head. I had no idea what I was doing. Thankfully, the library was already created, and so I just kind of took the PHP library, put a wrapper around it, and kind of made it work. It wasn't very pretty, wasn't ready to be published, but I had it working after a few weeks. Then shortly after that, I figured, why not share it with the world? And so I cleaned it up, put localization in there because Aryan was very big on everything must be localized so we can share it to the world. And of course, it still only has English, French, and a little bit of German in it. And that's been about 3 years, and it still only has those 3 languages. Then eventually, it got pushed up onto GitHub, and then Aryan merged it into work in progress. And I was like, yay, it's like on track to be something powerful and fun. Then it went to the master repo and pushed out for a general release. And it's worked about 3 years since then with very little intervention. So thank you, Apple, for not completely destroying the GSX API yet, although they're really killing it shortly here, I think in October, so the module will probably break. And I can't fix it because I don't have GSX access anymore. So if someone else wants to fix that module, go for it, I'll help you. Then since that module, pretty much every other original module has been driven by a need of mine to find out how a Mac is working, how it's configured, who's using it, how it's being used, just something about the Mac itself. Other modules have basically been a request from other admins, such as the TeamViewer module, the Geekbench module, how they want this to work or they need pointers to do it, and I usually end up being nerd sniped like, hey, Tuxudo can do this. Aryan has done in the past with the TeamViewer module. Like somebody mentioned it, and I was like, yeah, that'd be a cool module. And then Aryan was like, haha, I told you he would do it. And yeah, so I had that module up and running within a week, and it's a pretty cool module, but it's just one of my many, many modules that I've done. And of course, there's the scope of the modules, and I've often suffered, or not suffered, but like I've had trouble figuring out like what the scope is of my module. What kind of data should I collect? Am I collecting too much? Am I collecting too little? I usually fall on the it's collecting too much to why is the kitchen sink in here? So some of these modules are like the fan and temps module, which is a giant mess, but it's gotten much better. The smart stats module is also a giant mess. It has 500 columns in its table, and it is awful. But of course, these modules collect a lot of things that most admins really wouldn't care about. Like, for example, do we really need to know the temperature of the palm rest in the intern's MacBook? No, but it's in there. Do we need to know the head flying hours of the Mac Pro that lives under Becky's desk? No. Do we need to know the GPU frequency of the iMac that is just running our pretty little display? No. But it's all in MunkiReport. Why? Because it's there. Like, why not? And of course, Aryan has always complained, why are you collecting this? Does this need to be there? And I just kind of just leave it there, and it appears. And the expansiveness of MunkiReport and how the modules can just expand it into something greater and greater is what makes MunkiReport probably the best reporting software for Macs. Like there's really nothing it doesn't report on at this point. If there, of course, there isn't something it reports on, I usually try to figure it out and make it work. And then, of course, I've always run into the problem of the Earth being round and the problem of time zones that comes with it. And Arjen has touched upon this. I'm in the East Coast, he's in Western Europe, and it's difficult to kind of like get things working because it's either early in my day, late in his day, or it's like 2 a.m. for me and he's still online. Like, why are you still online? You should be passed out in bed. But he's still there. And of course, while we were rewriting version 3 of MunkiReport, we had the awesome support of Mosin helping us, and he is based in Australia. So that, of course, posed even greater problems where there was 3 of us spread across the globe, and we all had to just kind of work together and try to make it all happen. It was difficult, but we eventually got version 3 up and off the ground, and we're on to version 4, and it's better than ever. Arjen did talk about the pros and cons of open source. It's great, but there's a disclaimer of you'll be responsible for supporting this. Sometimes you get tired of supporting it, like the Deploy Studio module. That needs to kind of go because Deploy Studio is mostly dead at this point. But I still kind of have to keep it alive because it's still being alive. So that's pretty much it for my brief, quick talk about my time working with MunkiReport. I really hope all of you that use it love it. And if you have any suggestions for a module, send me a message. I'll probably end up making it within a week. Maybe in a day if it's really fun and I'm really bored. And I'll be at the Hack Night tonight, so I hope to see many of you there.